Welcome to Lucid Dreaming in the Cube of Space with the Alchemical Cabala. This past week, we could have completed one full rotation around the eastern face of the Cube of Space. So here it is. We went down Aries. We went across to the south below via the chariot. We came up the teacher key, back up to the above on the south. And then we went back to the north above via the lover's key. So understand that these patterns, all of them, and now we're particularly working with the 12 outer patterns, the edges of the cube. As we immerse ourselves within these patterns, we align our consciousness with the same patterns that are in the macrocosm. These are living intelligences that we live, move, and have our being within. And they're shown here as currents on the cube of space. So, so we've taken the Zion, the sword, and the lovers back to the northeast, and we're given an option. We have two options via the currents. So we can either descend again via the Emperor key here and go back down into the subconscious, or we can stay in the self-conscious above and travel towards the western face of the cube via the Strength key. Now remember, the western face of the cube is what is basically the outer world, Malkut, so to speak. So, since we've already circumambulated on the east, we are going to take the current of the strength key, the letter Teth. This is our key and current for the week. Now, in the book of formation, the Sephir Yetzirah, this current is called the secret of all spiritual activities. When Cabala uses words like all, we should pay attention. Right? On the tree, this path, Teth, makes the middle horizontal path on the tree. So you have this one here, and this one here. It's in the exact middle. And we know the saying that the wise man, wise woman follows the middle path. And on the simple tree, who remembers what this plane is? Anyone?
The upper mental plane.
Excellent, Charlotte. Yes. So this is the higher mental plane right here. On the horizontal paths, we have seven, so to speak. We've got Malkut, the body, our flesh. Then we got the astral plane, where our vital soul, and where we're waking up in our dreams. And we even ascend up here to the lower mental plane in that. Then we've got Tiferet. It's called here the egoic plane, but this doesn't mean like what you think of ego like in psychology. This is actually the plane of the the real self, okay, that's reflected from the divine self. It's the sonship. And it's yellow, same as the color of this path, higher mental plane. Above that is the highest, the causal plane, and then the spiritual plane. So this higher mental plane is something to pay attention to. It is this path. So, in short, this path, it really is kind of a big deal in in the major arcana. It's one of the most, for us as incarnate human beings, this is one of the major paths on the tree and the cube. Note that it also balances mercy and severity. All right. In the sequencing of the major arcana, the number 8 key comes between the number 7, which we know is the chariot, and the, the key of mastery. And it comes between the key of mastery and the hermit, which is the key of the adept. So we might think of it this way, that learning to master what's shown in key 8 is teaching us how to become and transform ourselves into what the number 9 key, the hermit key, shows, which is one who has raised the inner light and now stands as a guide in their being for all who are seeking in the way. This this key has to be mastered on the spiritual for us to progress and proceed further. And this isn't like a one-time thing. This is something we are continually working with and on. You notice the letter Teth down here. It means serpent. And we see the little snake right here. And isn't it interesting that this his tail rises up like this and comes down just around the lower back area of the feminine figure here, shown in all white, totally calm, totally in control. So she's raising all of this power. And remember the current we just came out of. The snake is risen up the tree behind the subconscious Eve. So we see this transformation occurring in this key. All right. Show you, I'm going to share a few interesting images with you. So this is an image of Shiva, which is one of Hinduism's highest deity, and in some traditions, the highest deity. Shiva is very often depicted as sitting on and or wearing the skin of a lion or tiger. And it's really interesting to see the serpents here. See the serpent coming up around the top of the neck, just chilling here, looking the same way Shiva's looking. And there's a serpent here, top of the scepter here. This is the Trishula, I believe, the scepter. And the trident that you see there is in Hinduism, mastery of the 3 gunas. So the letter Teth, again, means serpent. In Cabala, this is the royal serpent. In the East, this is called the Kundalini, right? This is the coiled intelligence that rests down in the sacral area, usually usually sleeping or resting, dormant, until it's raised and awakened. Right? Let's go to our next image. This is a good one. So this is Durga, also a Hindu deity. She, in Hinduism, is the ultimate warrior goddess and protects all against evil. She is a very strict yet compassionate and fiercely protective mother. Durga is the embodiment of Shakti, which is the divine feminine energy. And she's virtually always shown on top of either a lion or a tiger. I like how she's just chilling here on top of this lion. Right. Here is another image. Anyone who grew up in churches or in Christianity, this is the hero Samson in the Old Testament. I don't know if everyone's familiar with this story, Samson, but Samson was known for his great strength. Okay. And shown here in this image, he's overcoming a lion. Now, it's an interesting story in the Old Testament because, the story is like Samson and Delilah, and she's always trying to figure out like where his strength is coming from. And he usually in the storyline he kind of plays with her and he'll tell her make up stories like, "Oh, if you tie me up, then." And so she does this. And then she calls his enemies in and he just tears the ropes apart and just takes care of everything. And she asks him again and he tells her some other story and it's not the thing. And then if I'm not mistaken, I think she kind of seduces him and gets her gets him to tell her like really what's the source of his strength. Something like that. And what he tells her is that his strength comes from his very, very long hair. An interesting story. Now, you might find this interesting. So, here's an image of the spinal column and the central nervous system. Now, the strength key that we're working with this week rules the spine and the heart. So remember that when you're working with it this week. Look down here, right? This you see how the spinal column kind of breaks off and gets into all these like fine strands. Okay? So it goes down into this area here, the sacrum, which is derived from the term sacred. And here's the coccyx. This is typically the geography or the anatomy, I should say, of where the coiled serpent, the divine energy, the divine life resides. For most people, this is dormant, and it's generally advised to not try to force this into activity unless you have an experienced teacher to assist you with this. Fortunately, the tarot does a good job of helping us do this in a safe manner. Now, as you go up the spine here, you have what's called the cauda equina. And this is Latin. It just means horse's tail because the fibers of the nervous system and kind of just feel for yourself like what that feels like in your body. Just kind of put your consciousness there and just feel how much power and force is down there. And then kind of feel, just imagine the light rising up into your heart area. All is one continuous flow. So the strands down here coming into the coccyx and the sacrum are similar to long hair, which is the story of where Samson derived his great strength. Okay, there's another interesting image. This is a statue showing Hercules, who had 12 labors to accomplish, like the 12 edges of the cube of space and the 12 signs of the zodiac. Now, the very first labor that Hercules had to accomplish was the Nemean lion. The Nemean lion is said to have had supernatural strength and superpowers. One of the powers was that no weapon could penetrate the golden fur or the skin of the lion. All right, so this leads us to the Western tradition. Fortunately for us, we have Our Lady Strength, who shows us a better way than brute force to handle this great power that resides in this animal that we happen to inhabit. It's part of the quote, Earth incarnate package. If you signed up to incarnate in Earth, you get the package. You get the animal body, you get everything that goes with it. Okay? So we all have this. And yeah. So before I go any more into this key, let's get to the heart of our practice. And relax, focus on this key. Remember, this key is called the secret of all spiritual activities. And just focus on whatever speaks to you, and please unmute yourselves one at a time and share what occurs to you in the strength key.
Uh, yeah, just wanted to mention something just jumped out, especially when touching on the the cauda equina. Is how
Mhm.
it's phrased there. Just the just the placement of where the lion's head is,
Mhm.
and to say because the thing that with this key and especially just revisiting it, it's just the I don't know the thing of the like working with the energy, not trying to work against it, not being not
Yes.
trying to overpower or control, but actually be one with it. Um,
Mm.
and it's especially with just the divine nature, the divine guidance, especially with the like this divine feminine energy, and just I don't know, it's kind of looking at it, I guess, looking at this as all one figure and not just two separate figures. That's where
Mm.
the head of the lion just kind of popping out where that again that sacrum area
Hmm.
is. It's just that's fascinating. Just looking at it from a different dimension. But yeah, just wanted to mention that real briefly.
That's excellent. Very cool. I like what you said there very much. And
Mhm.
find the strands here on the tail interesting too.
Yes, exactly.
I really love this card because she is so relaxed. The feminine, she represents the subconscious mind.
Mm.
There's no stress going on here. This is natural. She's just is. She decides, and therefore it manifests. So this is the relationship we should be having with nature and understanding how we are with nature and the subconscious mind. It is not that we demand things or control. We woo the subconscious mind with love, like our lover, with kindness, and say, how about you do this? How about you do that? How about you deliver this to me? There you go. Thank you. This is you're having a relationship with creation. And this is how it works best with cajoling and talking and knowing that, of course, it would love to fulfill everything you want. It creates a sense of confidence and trust. You know it will manifest. Absolutely delightful figure.
Mm.
And not even her hair is messed up. All the little roses and garland are just very sitting up there. Nothing's going askew. And that is how we need to be. That is our greatest strength, is that peace in knowing this, who and what we are, remembering that. And then the lion is at a state of comfort. Yes, it's fierce, but it's calm. It wants to be where it is, surrounded by love
Mm.
and gentleness.
So very well said. Thank you. That is absolutely correct. I completely concur with what you're saying, Mariah. This key teaches us the absolute best way to deal with all of the things that come up within us. We don't reject them. We don't push them away, deny that this is not, we don't deny what we feel or what's part of us and our emotions, our desires. We take them all and we weave them together. We accept every single one of them and then embrace all of this in acceptance and love. I love you said gentle. One of the best, I guess, advices I was given by one of my teachers is to be gentle but firm with ourselves in everything. We don't let our animal run the show. We don't suppress it. Whatever the desire is, we take it and we harness it. Doesn't mean you have to act it out. If you have desires to do things and that you feel conflicted in it, just embrace it and use that energy to do something that you're not conflicted about.
I
Anyone
like
else?
I like
Yeah.
to look at the colors, and I see that they're both standing on love because that's the green.
Hmm.
And the white is the divine self, which has got control over all that energy from the red lion, the
Yes.
kundalini. It's very controlled, but
Yes.
powerful.
Very
And in the
powerful.
back, you see the purple attainment,
Mhm.
and it's just the yellow representing the beauty of it all, the beauty of getting that attainment of the control of yourself, of your divine self, not reacting like what you guys were just saying. And
Yes.
there's the Efinity sign above her head too.
Mhm. Very nice. Yes. Excellent.
When I'm thinking about this key right now, I'm thinking because it's between mercy and severity.
Mhm.
Working with a lot lately. It's tough love. Like you're like, it's like the epitome of tough love. Like
It
I'm
can be,
here,
yes.
and it's like I have to have boundaries. I have to have compassion. There's this blending of these things, and so that's the word I come up with this one.
Good.
It's for the betterment of myself, but also for the greater picture of things. And
Yes.
yeah, it's that energy is so powerful.
Yep.
It's everything. So
Mhm.
when it shows itself, we have to be really witness to it and present with it.
Yep.
But also very that's it.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Starlet.
I was going to say the lion has yellow eyes,
Mhm.
and which I noticed, and made me think that the more we can have compassion with ourselves and with those things within us, that we can actually raise them to a higher consciousness, a higher spiritual state.
Yes. Excellent. Yes. Yes.
Oh, and the avatar. I thought of the avatar before with the with the spine fibers and the way they would connect their fiber to the animal that they were going to connect with when
Oh,
they
yeah, yeah.
flew
Yeah.
around. Just came to mind. Sorry.
Yeah, very, very cool. Yeah, it's good connection.
And I also thought about Mother Mary with her foot on the serpent.
Yes. Yes. This is pretty much the same. Yes. It's
Subdued. Yeah.
very much the same. And something super important. Um, there are some traditions that talk about killing off desire. Uh, this has been said before many times, but it's going to repeat it. We do not do that in the Western tradition. We do not kill off our desire. We transmute. We harness. We accept all of our passions. It doesn't mean we act on them. We might want to eat everything in the fridge, but we know that we probably should not do that in one setting. That sort of thing, right? Um, Whatever it is. And I want to speak just a little bit. I'll share something with you. When I was a younger person than I currently am in this lifetime, I had I don't know, a couple of I think I had virtually all the vices. Maybe a few I didn't. I don't know. But I remember being in meditation one time and being like, "Hey, I really need some help." Blah blah. Blah. This many years ago, and I got very clear guidance. And one of the helpers said, "You really gonna have to overcome addiction." And I was like, it was very matter of fact. It wasn't like a huge deal. It was just a statement of truth from where I was at the moment. This key is really a huge key towards any any addiction that a person is capable of, which, if you've been on the earth more than a few days, you can see that that's kind of the lot given to virtually almost everyone until they have a little more, until they're willing, right, to do what Key 7 does and rein in everything, right? Then you can enjoy all the things. You just don't let the horses and the lion run wild. So, and one other thing I want to share about that is this. Um, some of the strongest people that you will ever meet in the world go through just really rough times. And you might look at people that have severe addictions to substances, to you name it. Surfing the internet for whatever, God knows, y'all, the internet, what huge percentage of it is just given to the senses, right? So people they get stuck pursuing the ecstasy of the self through the senses, whatever it is, food, pleasures, etc. And the thing is, what I want to emphasize is when you see people who are struggling, having a difficult time for a moment with addiction of any type, that soul in that person has within them an immense amount of strength. And as they work their way through whatever the addictions are, all the power that they had previously given up, they recover and it comes back to them because they really do have a tremendous amount of strength. They just have to choose to not allow the animal based drives to run their life. No, I'm not telling anyone anything. I'm just sharing that we definitely don't want to ever judge anyone for addictive patterns because it's only one life. It's only one thing. Everyone's seeking that same thing. It's just what level of our being are we working in? This is a beautiful key to assist us in getting everything in working order. And I love how the subconscious is purified here. I mean, she is just, and when I say purified, I mean it in the alchemical sense. It means without admixture. It's like someone brought up earlier, talking about bringing white light down. She's bringing that white light down, and it is nothing but the white light. And that is doing all of the work. And she's just an open vessel, allowing that light to flow and be in complete control of all the desires. It's really, really beautiful. Anyone else?
Guess I'll just briefly mention it's just like a small throwaway thing, but when you were mentioning about um, the 12 feet, I was looking at the lion and the claws that are visible. And I'm like, oh, there's three on each paw,
Hmm.
making 12. So that was just a
Right.
little small side thing. But I guess the thing that, you know, jumps at, I mean, there's so much. I mean, this key is it's incredible. I'll be honest, it's really incredible. But you know, one thing that always just kind of jumps out at me with actually with the letter Teth
Hmm.
and just how and just the when I look at it, it's a kind of the word that springs to mind when I like see this card along with the letter Teth is snake charmer. I may have mentioned
Yeah.
in the past, but
Right.
like yeah, it's just yeah, no, it right on Dana, 100% on this here, but just that and I say that because the and again I won't paraphrase too much stuff, but stuff. I mean, some of that everyone was sharing. I mean, like Starlet, you were sharing some stuff, and same to Teresa, and it's just like those things of just kind of that. I don't know, something about just facing. It's like not even just like making friends, but think of like the because like looking at the the letter itself, and on the left hand side it looks like a yod,
Mhm.
and then on
Yeah.
the right hand side it looks like again I'm thinking of the snake charmers, they have like the
Yeah.
cobra, right? And so it looks
Right.
down
Right.
that
Right.
way. And
Hmm.
so so in a certain sense, it's the, it's the facing, because part of and I really appreciate what you shared, by the way, with, what you shared a moment ago, because it touches on some conversations I had with some friends this past weekend along those lines of just the willingness to face oneself and the willingness to
Yes.
see
Yes.
and and I'm very grateful for my friend, who was, um, underscoring this part of with compassion, that because it was sharing things a certain way. And I'm like, yeah, the grace, compassion too. She's like, yeah, but the, and it was very specific with regards to, there's the willingness, the strength to see, and just, but then, giving that time and space and grace to allow, as you were sharing, Christopher, a moment ago, just the whole, the, those individuals have that strength inside of them to
Yes.
do all that. And so, just kind of all of those elements, just and then looking at that Taith letter, I just think of that whole that dynamic, just the whole
Mm.
willing to face and see
Yeah.
and befriend,
Mm.
engage, have a
Yep.
relationship. I mean, all those things that come along with it. But yeah, it was
Yes.
just really beautiful. I'm really appreciating what everyone's sharing. This is amazing. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Easy. Okay, I've got to stick to an hour, so we're going to move forwards here. Um, thank you, everyone, for all you shared on this. It's a beautiful, beautiful key. So we could discuss this key for a really, really long, long time. But we're going to focus on some of the most simple and powerful aspects of this key. All right, anyone, can you please, I'll pull this up. Can someone tell me, do you remember what this is called, this pattern, and how we get it?
It's on the tip of my tongue. It starts with an A,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
Oh my Lord, this is gonna bug me now. Amathema,
Very close.
Amuthema.
Very close. Anyone
Um,
else remember?
I guess yeah.
You're really close, Easy. Do you remember how we get this pattern? Like what
Yes.
this is showing?
Hmm.
Can someone explain that, please?
Take a picture
Yeah.
of the sun every day of the year, and then you somehow put it together, and then it makes the figure eight, the infinity
Yes.
sign.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you, Victoria. I always can count on you. It's exactly right. So this is what's called the analemma. And how we get this is a real compilation photographs taken like you count the numbers and that tells you how many times they took the picture. But virtually everywhere on the earth, with maybe the exception if you're at the poles, but virtually everywhere on earth, if you go outside and take a picture of the sun at the same time each day, over the course of a year, you could do it once, twice a month, whatever, you're going to get an analemma. You're going to get this luminescent and this figure eight virtually everywhere in the world. Now, it's really fascinating that the ancients had this understanding and wisdom and knew that this pattern exists. Really interesting. So, all right. And this is virtually everywhere again on the earth. So there are a couple lessons for us to take from this formation, this symbol. And the first one is that whenever you see this image, this 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 figure eight, like Victoria said, the analemma, the luminescent, the infinity sign, understand if you're in Earth, you are dealing with a solar or the solar power. This is the power of the sun. And it's above the divine feminine or the subconscious here in the strength key above her head. It's above your head also. You are in the sun. And if you don't have the Golden Force, that book, I highly recommend you get it because this is how you work with it most practically. And it explains it. We're in the heliosphere. We're literally breathing in this golden light. And the more consciously we interact with it, the more we get to participate in the intelligence of the superconsciousness of the sun that we all live, move, and have our being within. This is really at the heart of all mysticism, understanding this. The other thing to understand when you see this symbol is understanding Leo, right, rules the heart and spine in our anatomy. And when you see that this picture was taken at the same time of day, okay, each day, what that shows us is repetition. The power of repetition is very powerful, especially when it's combined with devotion, because it trains our subconscious to do these Herculean tasks of overcoming and transmuting our most powerful base drives and desires of the vehicle that we inhabit. So, with practice and devotion, with this key, you really learn how to harness this power. And as you learn how to do this, you become more and more like key 9. You're able to really raise that vibration. So, whatever devotional practice you have, okay, whatever speaks to your heart, do that. Do it faithfully and regularly. And if you can, do it at or near the same time every day. Very powerful. You build momentum with this, with anything. You all know this. And things that you've worked with practically, whether it's a musical instrument or you wanted to do powerlifting or you wanted to do learn anything, repetition and commitment to it. So there are only 2 major arcana keys that has this symbol above the head. Who can tell me the other one?
The magician.
Perfect. Thank you, Victoria. So, yes, it is the magician, which, remember, is attention. It's the self-conscious attention, where we place our mind, where we place our focus. So, which the magician's right above the strength key in the 3x7 layout. So it shows us very clearly that we combine attention with repetition and devotion, and this becomes immensely powerful. And those two keys together form the number 1 and the number 8, which is the 18th key of the moon, which gives us the body consciousness. It's what we incarnate. All right. Now, one more image here. I don't know. Got just a couple more. Here's an interesting one. Find it here. Okay. So, in alchemy, you have what's called the green lion. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but it's a pretty classical, alchemical, medieval type of language and text. And the green lion is always shown feeding on the sun. Okay. And Margot brings up often when you eat like fresh greens and all of these things, fruits, vegetables, etc., you're literally eating the sun, right? As it's been in that adaptation. And to get a little more subtle, if you get like the Golden Force book and you do those exercises, like the auric egg, where you bring the solar power and the fountain breath, make that like a regular practice where you're circulating the solar energy of the prana through your vehicles, especially up the spine and down through all your vehicles with your breath. You are intaking the solar light and intelligence. And as the green lion matures on this solar diet, it eventually turns red, as you see in the strength key. All right. So this is in your email. So this week, when you're doing your core practice, you can also alternate and use this simple double tattva. This tattva is called Fire of Earth. Now, we are not talking about the base elements, but the spiritual elements. And it shows the letter Teth within it. So print this off or use a digital, whatever works for you to absorb it in your retinal fields and work with it. You'll be really surprised. You do this with breath work. I'll just say it will bring in a lot of power and energy. All right. And one last image I'll leave you with here. Some of you may know this figure, some may not.
Yes, Ramana Maharshi.
It is. It is. Interesting they have a little lion for him to sit on. So remember to wake up within your dreams this week. Remember to wake up in your dreams this week. Thank you all for your light and participation. This concludes this portion of the current of strength, lucid dreaming, and the cube of space. The floor is now open for any questions or comments.